Welcome to Window Dressing, Sirens and Gossip Rag Goddesses of the New Millennium.
How lovely to be a woman.
This is Britney Spears Part 2. If you haven't yet listened to Part 1, do it now. I pick back up with Britney and K-Fed's divorce and subsequent custody battle. During the divorce, Kevin, the press, and her family push her over an emotional cliff, seemingly for sport. Kevin and Britney married very quickly after meeting, and Britney gave birth to 2 sons shortly after that. Her first son, Jaden, was born in September of 2005. She was pregnant with her second, Sean Preston, 3 months later. During the second pregnancy, Kevin began to distance himself from Britney. He tasted money and fame and essentially ghosted his new wife and young son. In Britney's 2023 memoir, The Woman in Me, she says of Kevin, "When most people, especially men, get that type of attention, it's all over. They love it too much, and it's not good for them." I think a lot of women have witnessed men flip and fawn over any attention from the outside world. Big fish, small pond syndrome must affect hundreds of thousands of bad boyfriends and husbands everywhere. Britney filed for divorce in November of 2006. She filed because her lawyer told her Kevin would file if she didn't. She was on the hook financially for his legal bills and was blamed publicly for breaking up their marriage. Britney and Kevin both asked for full custody in the divorce. During this time, the paparazzi ratcheted up their extreme surveillance of Brit and her kids. She couldn't leave the house or do anything without being swarmed by paparazzi. They actively put her and her children's lives in danger daily. In addition to their relentless media onslaught, Britney was dealing with unsupportive and sometimes cruel family members like her father, Jamie Spears. She was isolated, alone, and without any kindness in her immediate world. In her memoir, she speaks highly of Paris Hilton. She says Paris was one of the few people who offered her genuine kindness during this time. I think it's so sweet that Britney made sure to state that on the record. Paris is another woman who has been maligned and dismissed in a blatantly sexist tone for decades. PSA, women aren't dumb just because you want to fuck them. During this time, one of the most difficult in her life, Britney was recording her critically acclaimed album and the one she is the most proud of, Blackout. She began recording in June of 2006 and wrapped in July of 2007. The climate for this album included multiple public meltdowns. In January of 2007, in a moment of complete and utter rage, she shaved her head in front of photographers in a Los Angeles strip mall. The barber refused to shave her head, so she did it herself. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was wild, because it was such an archetypal act of defiance. In her own words, she said, "Shaving my head was a way to say to the world, fuck you. You want me to be pretty for you? Fuck you. You want me to be good for you? Fuck you. You want me to be your dream girl? Fuck you." This is where Britney goes from being a pop princess to a fucking icon of American womanhood. The press didn't see it as such. People magazine feigned sympathy whilst calling her an unfit mother in an article about the head shaving incident published in February of 2007. "We are really worried about her and hope that she has someone with her all the time to supervise her with Jaden James and Sean Preston and is not attempting to take care of them all by herself in the state she is in. We hope her mom intervenes. Who knows if it's substance abuse or a breakdown, but it's clear she needs help. We don't want her to end up like Anna Nicole Smith." Okay. They are pushing her towards the grave with that bullshit. But they know that. It's funny to them to feign care and compare her to a dead icon whose son also died, intimating that Britney is going to be responsible for her own demise and one or both of her son's deaths too. Perez Hilton, the self-proclaimed queen of all media, was perhaps one of the worst offenders in his treatment of Britney. He did apologize on CNN in 2021 for how he treated Britney and other celebrities of the early 2000s. Slut-shaming and torment abound in his online blog, perezhilton.com. His archives do go back to 2007, but not to the head-shaving incident, which was in February. The archives only go back as far as July of 2007, so I can't give you any of his verbatim slander about this incident in particular. I will say that it does strike me as convenient that the cutoff for his archives falls just after her breakdown. The success of Perez's blog changed the gossip game forever. He really was the gossip girl of his day. He still has a big online presence, but it's nothing like it was. Post his apology tour and his effort to not drag women publicly, I am a loyal follower. He opened the gates for online gossip rags to take over for more traditional printed sources like People and OK Magazine. Today, the gossip magazines of my day are gone. They still get printed, but instead of $1.99 an issue for Life and Style, it's $8.99 for the thinnest magazine you have ever held. Unfortunately, these magazines are not yet archived past the 10-year mark. My hope is they soon will be archived the way Confidential and Photoplay of the golden age of Hollywood are. The one mainstay of the industry is TMZ, which is almost the exact same as it always was. They still put out exploitive videos of everyone from Britney to Camila Cabello, and in my opinion, they do their best work at the Chateau Marmont. And as problematic as they can be, I don't want them to go away. It's like the McDonald's of trash culture. It never changes, and it feels like home. After shaving her head, Britney said, "When I first shaved my head, it felt almost religious. I was living on a level of pure being. For when I wanted to go into the world, I bought 7 wigs, all short bobs." This is her pink hair era. We all know those tabloid shots of her wearing a pink bob. That's sort of the problem. Britney's life was documented like a film. When I first decided to write about her, I was concerned that with only music videos and one movie to talk about, I would fall short. But the truth is, there's probably more footage of her than any other person on Earth. The sheer size of her pap photos and videos is impossible to comprehend. By this time, Kevin was winning the custody battle, especially in the court of public opinion. One night in February of 2007, Britney went with her cousin, Allie, to Kevin's house to see her children. She was denied access to her kids twice that night. On the way home, the paparazzi hounded her until she snapped. She reached for the only thing available to her, an umbrella. She exited the car and began hitting the Pap's SUV with her umbrella, which she grabbed from the backseat of her vehicle. In her memoir, Britney expressed deep embarrassment and also regret that she was barely able to damage his car. All of this, and the run-up to it, is captured on film. The incident occurred behind a Jiffy Lube on February 21st, 2007, just days after she shaved her head. Daniel Ramos was the Pap whose SUV was damaged. He can be heard on the tapes hounding Britney, saying, "How are you doing? You doing okay? We're all worried about you. All I'm going to do is ask you a couple of questions." All this while Britney's cousin Allie begged them to leave Britney alone. They wouldn't. After Britney was done whacking the SUV several times with all her might, she screamed, "Fuck you," to the Paps as she walked away back towards her car. The sheer rage and unbridled release of a woman who has essentially been caged since childhood moves me to my core. Britney said about the paparazzi, "They were like an army of zombies trying to get in every second. They tried to scale the walls and take pictures through windows. Trying to enter and exit a building felt like being a part of a military operation. It was terrifying." This was at the height of celebrity gossip culture in the U.S., and while a magazine like Us Weekly typically had a budget of $140,000 a week for images, a single picture of Britney could fetch $1 million. That changed everything, especially when her kids were born. Perez Hilton said publicly that he was grateful for Britney's divorce and custody battle because it was good for business. She wasn't human to almost anyone in the world. She was disposable, not just because of her celebrity, but because of the type of celebrity she was. She was dismissed as dumb, and any pushback from her was seen as ungrateful, or as we saw with the head shaving incident, crazy. The phrase, "know your place," rings loudly through my ears as I tell her story. During this time, she was recording Blackout, still widely considered her best work. It was recorded in studios all over the country, in what Britney describes as the easiest and most satisfying album I ever made. She says, "The album was kind of a battle cry. After years of being meticulous, trying to please my mom and my dad, it was my time to say, fuck you. I quit doing business the way I always had before. I started doing videos on the street myself. I would go into bars with a friend and the friend would just bring a camera. That's how we shot Gimme More." She says, "To be clear, I'm not saying I'm proud of it. Gimme More is by far the worst video I've ever shot in my life. I don't like it at all. It's tacky. It looks like we only spent $3,000 to shoot it. And yet, even though it was bad, it worked for what it was. And the more I started going and doing things myself, the more interesting people started noticing and wanting to work with me." Britney may not have liked the music video, but I do. It was shot in June and July of 2007, and as Britney described, it was done quickly and on the cheap. It was released in August of 2007. The video opens with the iconic and much recycled phrase, "It's Britney, bitch." A blonde-haired Britney is sitting at a bar with two friends. The entire scene is dingy, except for the plasticine shine of her blonde wig. She is dressed and made up to be a 2002 version of herself. In the corner, in what looks like a bottle service booth/alleyway, is bad Britney, wearing a long dark wig, a small top hat, and an Ed Hardy-style motorcycle vest that doubles as a corset, fishnet tights, and boy short-style underwear. She dances on a stripper pole looking directly at Blonde Brit, as if to say, "Fuck it, they will vilify you no matter what you do." Something to note about this video, as with the video for Lucky, is that there are two Britney alter egos, neither of which is exactly her. Dave Holmes, MTV VJ from the late 90s and early 2000s, said on one of the many Britney docs that the New York Times put out that Britney was unknowable throughout her career and is even more unknowable now. That is why seeing these doppelganger versions of her, whether it be the highly produced video for Lucky or the guerrilla-style video for Gimme More, is so interesting because they give us triangulation points to try to understand her instead of direct reflections of her. Dave Holmes is an interesting figure because he wasn't your typical MTV VJ, and in fact became one because he was the runner-up in a nationwide VJ competition in which a young man named Jesse won. Dave Holmes did earn a spot at MTV, though. He is incredibly well informed about pop culture of the 90s and 2000s. He had a limited series podcast called Waiting for Impact about the group Sudden Impact, which was part of Michael Bevan's East Coast family of artists, including Belle Biv DeVoe, Boyz II Men, and Another Bad Creation. I have never had so much fun listening to something. He goes about his subject matter with an obsessive joy that resonates with how I work. I think he should be consulting on more of the wave of early 2000s culture docs coming out. Although, to be fair, he is featured on quite a few of them already. He has a new Real World Rewatch podcast out now for those who are interested. The production quality and styling of the Give Me More video feels slightly askew in the best way. It feels off, like a funhouse mirror is off. One of the things that is exactly right about the video is her subtle to-the-beat dance moves. I wouldn't describe it as choreography. It's more of a punctuated rhythm that's in Britney's bones. The loudest liberation signaling this video does is not include men in the storytelling. There is one token man at the bar. He is more of a hot gay guy or a Fleet Week babe than a love interest. He seems to be an afterthought casting choice. The main action is between and for the women in the room, mainly the two versions of Britney. But there are two other blonde girls at the bar with blonde wig Britney that end the video dancing at the stripper pole with Bad Brit. The dance the three women do is a sort of maypole reminiscent trot around the stripper pole. It strikes me as one of the sweeter moments of a video meant to be gritty. I don't think we can have an honest conversation about this video without discussing the wardrobe. It's iconically bad. History has given another layer of perspective to the wardrobe, not just of this video, but of the whole Blackout album era. It's off-kilter, reflective of being overwhelmed and out of touch, even angry and confused. Britney had had the whole world at her fingertips, and then was dragged through the mud publicly. This kind of war with the outer world can skew your understanding of what looks good. You lose touch. It's a good thing because you turn inward. Maturation and individuation follow. But there is this inconsistency or sudden inability to exist in society. It's like everything is awkward when it used to be seamless. Britney's situation is exceptionally hard to imagine. But I know that everyone has a breaking point. Trauma adds up, and there is a time when it visibly rips us apart. Putting yourself back together can resemble a patchwork puzzle that simply doesn't blend well with the scenery. It's not meant to. You are changing. She was changing. The wonderful thing about looking back at this time nearly 20 years later is we see how cringe fashion moments have become canon and do their own virtue signaling as objects and looks. Britney's top-knot floppy bun doesn't carry the same sex appeal as Pam Anderson's famous updo, but it does bring a messy bitch energy that the girls and the gays carry like a torch. Kitschy graphic tees with statements like, "I'm the American dream," or "dump him," are an example of Britney's fashion choices that are ingrained in the culture. Just as Paris Hilton pink has become an undeniable brand, so has Britney's plastic-looking bob wigs and I don't give a fuck sweats and Ugg boots. This is what fashion is. It's not about looking good or right. It's the literal embodiment of a feeling. It's the reflection of your soul's struggles and joys. By that definition, Britney is an icon of fashion not just in the much-imitated early part of her career, but throughout it. On January 4th, 2008, just days after making it through one of the most difficult years of her life, Britney, after a visit with her children, panics and barricades herself in her bathroom with her son Jaden out of fear that she would not be allowed to see her children again. She asks the bodyguard slated to pick the boys up to give her a minute. He agrees, but instead calls the police. A SWAT team response ensues. Helicopters, police, and ambulances show up at Britney's house, and a swarm of paparazzi. It is a rainy night in LA, making this scene the closest to a modern-day noir I have seen play out in real time. I remember watching this on TV like most people, including myself as a child, remember watching the Bronco chase that ended in O.J. Simpson's arrest. But instead of giving her space, as the LAPD did with O.J., Britt was strapped to a gurney and loaded into an ambulance. The paparazzi swarmed the ambulance, blocking it from moving, and then chasing it down the block when it was able to move. When it arrived at Cedars-Sinai's ER, the paparazzi were waiting. They chased it into the ambulance bay and photographed her through the glass, crowding the doors and making it impossible for EMTs to bring her inside Cedars ER. I will post footage of this on Window Dressing's Instagram page at Window Dressing Podcast if you have never seen it. It's ironic, or perhaps expected, that being surrounded by primarily paparazzi, Britney ended up dating one. Adnan was one of the regulars crowding Britt's car and peering through her windows. He was more chivalrous than the rest, and they struck up a romance that seemed surreal from the outside, but that Britney describes in pretty favorable terms with the exception of his wife. To be clear, she was unaware of his marriage. It's easy to misunderstand or forget the level of Britney's isolation. If anything should make that apparent, a relationship with paparazzi should. Adnan was the ire of Britney's family and has faced harsh criticism in the press. From my perspective, he wasn't the problem, and in fact, worked to help her later when very few people would. But I'll get to that. Britney describes him as supportive and unconditional love, very different than what she had experienced up to that point. In this relationship, she finally had the right to get angry at the world, angry at the position she had been put into, and she acted out accordingly. It is very interesting, as I said in part 1, how a woman's refusal to appease or play by the rules is almost immediately deemed as certifiable in this town. Britney opens the chapter in her memoir about 2008 with this paragraph. Los Angeles is warm and sunny all year round. Driving through the city, sometimes it's hard to remember what season it is. Everywhere you look, people are wearing sunglasses and drinking cold drinks out of straws, smiling and laughing underneath the clear blue sky. But in January of 2008, winter really felt like winter, even in California, because I felt alone and cold and I was hospitalized. Sometime at the beginning of January 2011, I was 5150'd. I know I have spoken about this before on the podcast, but this seems the appropriate time to talk about my experience in full. I was raped on December 26th, 2010, and then in the week that followed, I called a rape crisis counselor. That counselor decided I was a danger to myself or others and called the police. The police came to my home, dragged me out, and handcuffed me. They cut my clothes off to check for self-harm and put me in the back of a paddy wagon. I am part Irish, so please no comments about the racial insensitivity of the term paddy wagon. I was 5150'd at California Pacific Medical Center in San Francisco. I was lucky to end up there. The county psych ward happened to be full that day. Unlike Britney, who was released before the full 72-hour hold was up, I was kept for 6 days. I had to petition a judge to be released. I had an apartment in Los Angeles that I was subletting, and I wanted to leave San Francisco. My release was contingent on outpatient treatment at Cedars in LA. That treatment included multiple misdiagnoses of serious mental illnesses, when in reality, I had just been raped at gunpoint and was extremely traumatized. I was clearly suffering from PTSD, but I was treated like I was a schizophrenic criminal. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about the psychiatric center at Cedars or the legal system in California. I was the victim of a heinous crime, which the SFDA declined to prosecute. The worst part of my rape were the consequences after. The old adage that we need to ask for help rings in my ears even now as an unfortunate lie. I really wish I hadn't reached out for help. No one gave a fuck. The system is set up to punish and blame women. My best advice to young girls is do not trust anyone to have your best interest at heart, because they don't. A month or so after Britney's 5150, which resulted in a custody hearing that led to even less time with her children, her family held an intervention. The concern over her new fuck it attitude and her paparazzo boyfriend created a firestorm amongst her family. Instead of inviting counselors and kindness to this gathering, they called SWAT. There was also a literal helicopter. It's just absolutely insane. To be clear, Britney was abusing Adderall at this time, but she wasn't using hard drugs, nor was she a heavy drinker. So the term intervention is one of convenience for the family to peddle to the press. Britney was again forcibly hospitalized. Days later, her father, Jamie Spears, filed the papers for the conservatorship of her person and the estate. Her right to contest the conservatorship was waived because of potential undue influence. The supposed reason was a friend and former manager named Sam Lufty, whom the family believed was conning Britney for cash. I do not know if he had nefarious intent, but it appears to me and Britney that her family did. They didn't even give her a chance to fight. Her rights were taken away just like that. To be clear, a conservatorship of the person means she didn't even have the right to make decisions for her own medical care. Another key point about the conservatorship is that she was responsible for all the legal fees of her father and her court-appointed attorney, which she tried 3 times to get removed and was denied 2 out of 3 of those times. The second petition to replace her attorney was a clandestine event that had to be carefully arranged by people in her life who loved her but were no longer allowed anywhere near her. This included Adnan, her former paparazzi boyfriend, Sam Lufty, the supposed con man, and Rolling Stone journalist Jenny Elescu, who decided, in her words, to be a good citizen instead of a journalist. She snuck the papers into Britney at an LA hotel. They met in the bathroom by the pool. That petition, like the one before, was denied. Britney says in her memoir, "Other people are allowed, and by other people, I mean men, were afforded that freedom. Male rockers were rolling in late to award shows, and we thought it made them cooler. Male pop stars were sleeping with lots of women, and we thought that was awesome." While she, on the other hand, was called a crazy whore who literally had her individual freedoms stripped from her and handed to her father while the world watched. The weight of what happened to her should weigh heavily on all our souls. In her words, "The conservatorship stripped me of my womanhood and made me a child." For a woman who was sexualized as a child and then accused of perverting America's youth with her bare midriff, this specific turn of events isn't just ironic. It's predictably tragic. It's as if society conspired to infantilize and control one of its most powerful women for profit. And we all watched, the same way people watch porn. The information I have about the conservatorship comes from Britney's 2023 book, The Woman in Me, and the 2021 Netflix documentary, Britney vs. Spears. The doc is amazing, and given the level of intrigue and detail to Brit's conservatorship, I highly recommend watching it. Her book makes me feel sick. It's all the things I thought she felt, but didn't know for sure, said in plain English. Right there, in black and white, she is saying, "You stole my fucking womanhood." It's a heartbreaking read, but a responsibility for anyone who has participated in American culture over the last 30 years. Britney remained in the conservatorship for 13 years. She did tours and created a Vegas residency, which lasted 4 years and earned over $137 million for the estate. Notice I say for the estate, because that money wasn't hers anymore. It was her daddy's. She was given an $8,000 a month allowance and had to ask for permission to leave her fucking house. Her relationships were approved by daddy. Her phone was monitored. Her boyfriends were approved or removed by her fucking father. She had a short-lived marriage during the conservatorship. At that time, her rights were shared between her husband and her father, but transferred back to her daddy when the marriage ended. In 2019, the cracks started to show, or rather, a new generation of fans took notice of the cracks when Britney was set to announce another Vegas show, this one entitled Domination, but instead of announcing, she walked past the host and the various reporters and got in an SUV and drove off without saying a word. After that, she went MIA from social media, sparking rumors and panic amongst her fans. She was again forcibly hospitalized, according to Britney, in retaliation for her refusal to do the second Vegas residency. Her father forced her into another rehab facility. She really didn't have a drug problem, but he insisted that if she refused to go, he would make her look like an idiot in court. She quotes him in her book as saying, "We will make you look like a fucking idiot. And trust me, you will not win. Trust me, it's better me telling you to go versus a judge in court telling you." She had no reason to doubt this given the way the court had ignored her pleas for a new attorney and what the last 10 years in the conservatorship had proven to be like. She describes the 4 previous years in Vegas as a time when her father snuffed out her creativity. She did hundreds of shows, but was never allowed to add new material or change up the songs. She says over and over again that she felt her father got joy from watching her wither into a controllable entity rather than a human being. When I think about her father playing Bob Fosse-style control tactics out on his daughter, I think about all the men out there that profit off of women's creativity and bodies. Burlesque dancers, singers, and performers of all ilks are puppeteered by mediocre men who sell other people's sex appeal to butter their bread. Fuck you. Fuck every level of man profiting off of a woman. It's unacceptable for little twerps to run around while women work to give them clout, credit, money, fame, and respect. It's fucking over. I make it my personal mission to call out men who casually make use of women's bodies, talent, and beauty for their gain. My advice to those men is to cultivate some intelligence, talent, and wit that goes beyond party tricks. She wasn't able to leave the rehab. They kept her there for months against her will. She describes a suicide watch-like environment where she wasn't even allowed to bathe on her own. I have been to both rehab and a mental institution, and I will tell you, rehab was much worse. I went to a fancy one in Malibu, one that Lindsay Lohan and Britney both attended. They kept the doors open at all times there. I wasn't suicidal, I was high, in large part because of their inability to deal with real withdrawal. They gave me Suboxone, which was the new methadone at the time. That drug ruined many lives. I hadn't done heroin at that time, and although I had used morphine, I was primarily a coke addict. I contribute my later addiction to heroin in large part to the treatment I received in rehab. These places are criminal and get tons of money from the state for bullshit therapies that hurt people. I got in my car and left treatment, hitting their golden gate with my car on the way out. I can't imagine if I had been forced to stay. My life has been hard enough without a literal patriarch calling the shots. It was during this time that her doctors took her off her normal prescription of Prozac and put her on lithium. Lithium is for severe manic depressives, and even people that actually have manic depression do not do well on it and opt for different treatment. Britney does not have manic depression. But remember, she also didn't have a say over her medical treatments because of the conservatorship over her person. She didn't have a choice. That drug fucked her up. It made her lethargic and unable to think clearly. After I was released from the California Pacific Medical Center's psych ward, I returned to LA. I was ordered to do outpatient treatment at Cedars. There, I was misdiagnosed with schizophrenia and put on a drug that gave me hallucinations. The misdiagnosis and subsequent prescription happened in 2 minutes. This bitch didn't give a fuck. She didn't care that I had PTSD from being raped. She just decided I was nuts. She never took any accountability for the misdiagnosis or the consequences to me from the drug she prescribed. People who haven't been thrown to the wolves really don't understand how little power women have once they have become the victim of anything. For me, it was rape. For Britney, it was her father and her ex-husband. It's not a unique story. In fact, Britney herself points out that her grandmother committed suicide in a mental institution after being put on lithium. Generations of women have been institutionalized or medicated the second they become inconvenient. The fact that no one has been held accountable legally that was involved in Britney's conservatorship or abhorrent kidnapping-level care is not surprising in the least to me. But it does justify the fury I carry in my heart for my own unaccounted-for degradations. One of the most striking things Britney says in her book is that she felt ruined. I can't tell you how much that resonates with me. I would call it broken, but it's the same sentiment. I remember actually feeling fractured in my soul, like a doll left out in the street. It's an unbelievably painful feeling to be abandoned when you need love the most. You don't get to come back after something like that. You may return to your body some, but you're never the same. Britney calls it being ruined. I call it being broken. But the real truth of it is something was stolen, and once it's gone, you have to learn to live without it. Period. While she was in treatment, one of the few that she liked, showed Britney a clip of a talk show where the host was wearing a Free Britney t-shirt. This is how she found out that her fans had noticed her absence, felt like something was off, and started a movement to free her from the conservatorship and her forced isolation. It wasn't a prince who rescued Britney from the tower her father forced her in. It was her fans. Britney says their support gave her the strength to go on. She was let out of the institution soon after. When she returned home, the pandemic hit, and her family continued to gaslight and use her. Another very important thing she said in her book is, "The reason why I'm alive today is because I know joy." There is nothing more Britney than that sentiment. It's the exact reason why her fans fought for her. Her joy is an example of the untarnished spark of humanity that, even if exploited and degraded, still shines bright. It wasn't until June 23rd, 2021, that she had the opportunity to speak in open court about the conditions of her conservatorship. As a result, she was allowed to choose her own lawyer. Her new attorney, Matthew Rosengart, successfully petitioned the court to remove her father as conservator. The entire conservatorship was dissolved in November of 2021. As I have mentioned several times now, there have been no legal ramifications to anyone involved in Britney's 13-year ordeal. Everyone involved is a criminal in my eyes, and they should also be in the state of California's. I'm going to end with her 2021 address to the court, because it is extremely powerful, and I could not say any of it better. Because Britney's address was recorded on someone's cell phone in open court, you can hear text message alerts going in and out during her address.
I will be honest with you, I haven't been back to court in a long time because I don't think I was heard on any level when I came to court the last time. I brought 4 sheets of paper in my hands and wrote in length what I had been through the last 4 months before I came there. The people who did that to me should not be able to walk away so easily. I'll recap. I was on tour in 2018. I was forced to do. My management said if I don't do this tour, I will have to find an attorney.
Ms. Spears, I hate to interrupt you, but my court reporter is taking down what you're saying.
Okay.
And so you have to speak a little more slowly.
Of course, yes. Okay, I apologize. Great.
Everything you're saying.
Okay.
Sure. Now,
the people who did this to me should not get away and to be able to walk away so easily. Recap. I was on tour in 2018. I was forced to do. My management said if I don't do this tour, I will have to find an attorney, and by contract, my own management could sue me if I didn't follow through with the tour. He handed me a sheet of paper as I got off the stage in Vegas and said I had to sign it. It was very threatening and scary, and with the conservatorship, I couldn't even get my own attorney, so out of fear, I went ahead and I did the tour. When I came off that tour, a new show in Las Vegas was supposed to take place. I started rehearsing early, but it was hard because I'd been doing Vegas for 4 years and I needed a break in between. But no, I was told this is the timeline and this is how it's going to go. I rehearsed 4 to 4 days a week, half of the time in the studio and half of the other time in a Westlake studio. I was basically directing most of the show with my whereabouts, where I preferred to rehearse and actually did most of the choreography, meaning I taught my dancers my new choreography myself. I take everything I do very seriously. There's tons of video with me at rehearsals. I wasn't good. I was great. I led a room of 16 new dancers in rehearsals. It's funny to hear my manager's side of the story. They all said I wasn't participating in rehearsals and I never agreed to take my medication, which my medication is only taken in the mornings, never at rehearsal. They don't even see me. So why are they even claiming that? When I said no to one dance move into rehearsals, it was as if I planted a huge bomb somewhere. And I said, no, I don't want to do it this way. After that, my management and my dancers and my assistant of the new people that were supposed to do the new show all went into a room, shut the door, and didn't come out for at least 45 minutes. Ma'am, I'm not here to be anyone's slave. I can say no to a dance move. I was told by my, at the time, therapist, Dr. Benson, who died, that my manager called him in that moment and told him I wasn't cooperating or following the guidelines in rehearsals. And he also said I wasn't taking my medication, which is so dumb because I've had the same lady every morning for the past 8 years give me my same medication, and I'm nowhere near these stupid people. It made no sense at all. There was a week period where they were nice to me and they said, I don't want to do, and I told them I don't want to do the, they were nice to me. They said, if I don't want to do the new Vegas show, I don't have to, because I was getting really nervous. I said, I can wait. It was like, they told me I could wait. It was like lifting literally 200 pounds off of me when they said I don't have to do in the show anymore, because I was really, really hard on myself and it was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. So I remember telling my assistant, But you know what? I feel weird if I say no. I feel like they're going to come back and be mean to me or punish me or something. 3 days later, after I said no to Vegas, my therapist sat me down in a room and said he had a million phone calls about how I was not cooperating in rehearsals and I haven't been taking my medication. All of this was false. He immediately the next day put me on lithium out of nowhere. He took me off my normal meds I'd been on for 5 years. And lithium is a very, very strong and completely different medication compared to what I was used to. You can go mentally impaired if you take too much, if you stay on it longer than 5 months. But he put me on that and I felt drunk. I really couldn't even take up for myself. I couldn't even have a conversation with my mom or dad really about anything. I told them I was scared and my doctor had me on 6 different nurses with this new medication come to my home, stay with me, to monitor me on this new medication, which I never wanted to be on to begin with. There were 6 different nurses in my homes and they wouldn't let me get in my car to go anywhere for a month. Not only did my family not do a goddamn thing, my dad was all for it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad. And my dad he acted like he didn't know that I was told I had to be tested over the Christmas holidays before they sent me away when my kids went home to Louisiana. He was the one who approved all of it. My whole family did nothing. Over the 2-week holiday, a lady came into my home for 4 hours a day, sat me down and did a psych test on me. It took forever. But I was told I had to then, after that I got off, I was told I had to then, after I got a phone call from my dad saying, after I did the psych test with this lady, basically saying I had failed the test or whatever, I'm sorry, Brittany, you have to listen to your doctors. They are planning to send you to a small home in Beverly Hills to do a small rehab program that we're going to make up for you. You're going to pay $60,000 a month for this. I cried on the phone for an hour and he loved every minute of it. The control he had over someone as powerful as me, as he loved the control to hurt his own daughter 100,000%, he loved it. I packed my bags and went to that place. I worked 7 days a week, no days off, which in California, the only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking, making anyone work against their will, taking all their possessions away, credit card, cash, phone, passport card, and placing them in a home where they work with the people who live with them. They all lived in the house with me, the nurses, the 24/7 security. There was one chef that came there and cooked for me daily during the weekdays. They watched me changed every day, naked, morning, noon, and night. My body, I had no privacy door for my room. I gave 8 gallons of blood a week. If I didn't do any of my meetings and work from 8 to 6 at night, which is 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, no days off, I wouldn't be able to see my kids or my boyfriend. I never had a say in my schedule. They always told me I had to do this. And ma'am, I will tell you, sitting in a chair 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, it ain't fun. And especially when you can't walk out the front door. And that's why I'm telling you this again 2 years later. After I've lied and told the whole world I'm okay and I'm happy, it's a lie. I thought I said that enough. Maybe I might become happy because I've been in denial. I've been in shock. I am traumatized. Fake it till you make it. But now I'm telling you the truth, okay? I'm not happy. I can't sleep. I'm so angry, it's insane, and I'm depressed. I cry every day, and the reason I'm telling you this is because I don't think how the state of California can have all this written in the court documents from the time I showed up and do absolutely nothing, just hire with my money another person to keep my dad on board. Ma'am, my dad and anyone involved in this conservatorship and my management who played a huge role in punishing me when I said, no, ma'am, they should be in jail. They're cool tactics working for Miley Cyrus as she smokes on joints and stage at the VMAs. Nothing is ever done to this generation for doing wrong things. But my precious body, who's worked for my dad for the past fucking 13 years, trying to be so good and pretty, so perfect when he works me so hard, when I do everything I'm told in the state of California, allowed my ignorant father to take his own daughter, who only has a role with me if I work with him. They set back the whole course and allowed him to do that to me. That's giving these people I've worked for way too much control. They also threatened me and said if I don't go, then I have to go to court. And it will be more embarrassing me if the judge publicly makes go the evidence we have. You have to go. I was advised for my image, I need to go ahead and just go and get it over with. They said that to me. I don't even drink alcohol. I should drink alcohol, considering what they've put my heart through. Also, the Bridges facility they sent me to, none of the kids, I was doing this program for 4 months. So the last 2 months I went to a Bridges facility. None of the kids there did the program. They never showed up for any of them. You didn't have to do anything if you didn't want to. How come they always made me go? How come I was always threatened by my dad and anybody that participated in this conservatorship? If I don't do this, what they tell me to enslave me to do, they're going to punish me. The last time I spoke to you by just keeping the conservatorship going and also keeping my dad in the loop made me feel like I was dead. Like I didn't matter. Like nothing had been done to me. Like you thought I was lying or something. I'm telling you again because I'm not lying. I want to feel heard. And I'm telling you this again so maybe you can understand the depth and the degree and the damage that they did to me back then. I want changes, and I want changes going forward. I deserve changes. I was told I have to sit down and be evaluated again if I want to end the conservatorship. Ma'am, I didn't know I could petition the conservatorship to end it. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I honestly didn't know that. But honestly, I don't think I owe anyone to be evaluated. I've done more than enough. I don't feel like I should even be in a room with anyone to offend me by trying to question my capacity of intelligence, whether I need to be in this stupid conservatorship or not. I've done more than enough. I don't owe these people anything, especially me, the one that has roofed and fed tons of people on tour on the road. It's embarrassing and demoralizing what I've been through. And that's the main reason. I've never said it openly. And mainly I didn't want to say it openly because I honestly didn't think anyone would believe me. To be honest with you, the Paris Hilton story on what they did to her to that school, I didn't believe any of it. I'm sorry. I'm an outsider, and I'll just be honest. I didn't believe it. And maybe I'm wrong. And that's why I didn't want to say any of this to anybody, to the public, because I thought people would make fun of me or laugh at me and say, she's lying. She's got everything. She's Britney Spears. I'm not lying. I just want my life back. And it's been 13 years and it's enough. It's been a long time since I've owned my money. And it's my wish and my dream for all of this to end without being tested. Again, it makes no sense whatsoever for the state of California to sit back and literally watch me with their own two eyes make a living for so many people and pay so many people trucks and buses on tour on the road with me and be told I'm not good enough. But I'm great at what I do. And I allow these people to control what I do, ma'am, and it's enough. It makes no sense at all. Now, going forward, I'm not willing to meet or see anyone I've met with enough people against my will. I'm done. All I want is to own my money for this to end and my boyfriend to drive me in his fucking car. And I would honestly like to sue my family, to be totally honest with you. I also would like to be able to share my story with the world and what they did to me instead of it being a hush-hush secret to benefit all of them. I want to be able to be heard on what they did to me by making me keep this in for so long is not good for my heart. I've been so angry and I cry every day. It concerns me. I'm told I'm not allowed to expose the people who did this to me. For my sanity, I need you to the judge to approve me, do an interview where I can be heard on what they did to me. And actually, I have the right to use my voice and take up for myself. My attorney says I can't, it's not good. I can't let the public know anything they did to me. And by not saying anything is saying it's okay. I don't know what I said here. It's not okay. I don't want to interview. I'd much rather just have an open call to you for the press to hear, which I didn't know today we're doing. So thank you. Instead of having an interview, honestly, I need that to get it off my heart, the anger and all of it that's been happening. It's not fair they're telling me lies about me openly. Even my family, they do interviews to anyone they want on news stations. My own family doing interviews and talking about the situation and making me feel so stupid. And I can't say one thing. And my own people say I can't say anything. It's been 2 years. I want a recorded call to you. Actually, we're doing this now, which I didn't know that we were doing this. To the public and say knows what they did to me. I told I know my lawyer, Sam, has been very scared for me to go forward because he's saying if I speak up, I'm being overworked in that facility of that rehab place. The rehab place will sue me. He told me I should keep it to myself, really. I would personally like to, actually, I know I've had grown with a personal relationship with Sam, my lawyer. I've been talking to him like 3 times a week now. We've kind of built a relationship, but I haven't really had the opportunity by my own self to actually handpick my own lawyer by myself. And I would like to be able to do that. I would like to also The main reason why I'm here is because I want to end the conservatorship without having to be evaluated. I've done a lot of research, ma'am, and there's a lot of judges who do end conservatorships for people without them having to be evaluated all the time. The only times they don't is if a concerned family member says something's wrong with this person and otherwise. And considering my family has lived off my conservatorship for 13 years, I won't be surprised if one of them has something to say and go forward and say, we don't think this should end. We have to help her, especially if I get my fair served in turning, exposing what they did to me. Also, I want to speak to you about, at the moment, my obligations, which I personally don't think at the very moment I owe anybody anything. I have 3 meetings a week I have to attend no matter what. I just don't like feeling like I work for the people whom I pay. I don't like being told I have to no matter what, even if I'm sick. Jody, the conservator, says I have to see my coach Ken even when I'm sick. I would like to do 1 meeting a week with a therapist. I've never, even before they sent me to that place, had 2 therapy sessions. A therapy session and 1 therapy session with I have a doctor and then a therapy person. What I've been forced to do illegal in my life, I shouldn't be told I have to be available 3 times a week to these people I don't know. I'm talking to you today because I feel again, yes, even Jody is starting to kind of take it too far with me. They have me going to therapy twice a week and a psychiatrist. I've never in the past they had me going, twice a week and Dr. Gold. So that's 3 times a week. I've never in the past had to see a therapist more than once a week. It takes too much out of me going to this man I don't know. Number 1, I'm scared of people. I don't trust people with what I've been through. And the clever setup of being in Westlake, one of the most exposed places in Westlake, which yesterday, paparazzi showed me coming out of the place literally crying in therapy. It's embarrassing and it's demoralizing. I deserve privacy when I go. I deserve privacy when I go and have therapy, either at my home, like I've done for 8 years. They've always come to my home. Or when the Dr. Benson, the man that died, I went to a place similar to what I went to in Westlake, which was very exposed and really bad. Okay, so wait, where was I? In Westlake. It was identical to Dr. Benson, who died, the one who illegally, 100% abused me by the treatment he gave me too. And to be totally honest with you, I was so...
Excuse me for interrupting you. But my reporter says if you could just slow down a little bit because she's trying to make sure she gets everything that you're saying.
Okay, cool. I have been through, and the clever setup in Westlake is identical to Dr. Benson, who died, the one who illegally, 100% abused me by the treatment he gave me. And to be totally honest with you, when he passed away, I got on my knees and thanked God. In other words, my team is pushing it with me again. I have trapped phobias being in small rooms because the trauma locking me up for 4 months in that place is not okay for them to send me, to that small room like that twice a week with another new therapist I pay that I never even approved. I don't like it. I don't want to do that. And I haven't done anything wrong to deserve this treatment. It's not okay to force me to do anything I don't want to do. By law, Jody and this so-called team I should be able to sue them for threatening me and saying, if I don't go and do these meetings twice a week, we can't let you have your money and go to Maui on your vacations. You have to do what you're told for this program, and then you will be able to go. But it was very clever. They picked one of the most exposed places in Westlake, knowing I have the hot topic of the conservatorship, that over 5 paparazzis are going to show up and get me crying coming out of that place. I begged them to make sure that they did this at my home so I would have privacy. I deserve privacy. The whole conservatorship from the beginning, once the conservatorship from the beginning, once you see someone, whoever it is in the conservatorship, making them money and myself money and working, that whole statement right there, the conservatorship should end. There should be I shouldn't be in a conservatorship if I can work and provide money and work for myself and pay other people. It makes no sense. The laws need to change. What state allows people to own another person's money and account and threaten them and saying, you can't spend your money unless you do what we want you to do, and I'm paying them? Ma'am, I've worked since I was 17 years old. You have to understand how thin that is for me. Every morning I get up to know I can't go on somewhere somewhere unless I meet people I don't know every week in an office identical to the one where the therapist was very abusive to me. I truly believe this conservatorship is abusive. And now we can sit here all day and say, oh, conservatorships are here to help people. But ma'am, there's 1,000 conservatorships that are abusive as well. I don't feel like I can live a full life. I don't owe them to go see a man I don't know and share him my problems. I don't even believe in therapy. I always think you take it to God. I want to end the conservatorship without being evaluated. In the meantime, I want this therapist once a week. He can either come to my home. No, I just want him to come to my home. I'm not willing to go to Westlake and be embarrassed by all these paparazzi, these scummy paparazzi laughing at my faces while I'm crying, coming out and taking my pictures as all these white, nice dinners with people drinking wine at restaurants, watching me leave these places. They set me up by sending me to the most exposed places. And I told them I didn't want to go there because I knew paparazzi would show up there. They only gave me 2 options for therapists, and I'm not sure how you make your decisions, ma'am, but this is the only chance for me to talk to you for a while. I need your help. So if you can just kind of let me know where your head is. I don't really honestly know what to say, but my requests are just to end the conservatorship without being evaluated. I want a petition basically to end the conservatorship, but I want it to be petition to end it, but I don't want to be evaluated and be sat in a room with people 4 hours a day like they did me before. And they made it even worse for me after that happened. So I'm honestly new at this, and I'm doing research on all these things. I do know common sense and the method that things can end. For people, it has ended without them being evaluated. So I just want you to take that in consideration. I've also done research. Also took a year during COVID to get me any self-care methods during COVID. She said there were no services available. She's lying, ma'am. My mom went to the spa twice in Louisiana during COVID. For a year, I didn't have my nails done, no hairstyling and no massages, no acupuncture, nothing for a year. I saw the maids in my home each week with their nails done different each time. She made me feel like my dad does. Very similar, her behavior and my dad, but just a different dynamic. Team wants me to work and stay home instead of having longer vacations. They are used to me sort of doing a weekly routine for them, and I'm over it. I don't feel like I owe them anything at this point. They need to be reminded they actually work for me. They tricked me by sending me to the, okay, I repeated myself there. Also, I was supposed to be able to have a friend that I used to do AA meetings with. I did AA for 2 years. I have I did 3 meetings a week. I met a bunch of women there, and I'm not able to see my friends that live 8 minutes away from me, which I find extremely strange. I feel like they're making me feel like I live in a rehab program. This is my home. I'd like for my boyfriend to be able to drive me in his car. And I want to meet with a therapist once a week, not twice a week. And I want him to come to my home because I actually know I do need a little therapy. I was told, hold on. I think and I would like to progressively move forward, and I want to have the real deal. I want to be able to get married and have a baby. I was told right now in the conservatorship, I'm not able to get married or have a baby. I have a ID inside of myself right now, so I don't get pregnant. I wanted to take the ID out so I could start trying to have another baby, but this so-called team won't let me go to the doctor to take it out because they don't want me to have any more children. So basically, this conservatorship is doing me way more harm than good. I deserve to have a life. I've worked my whole life. I deserve to have a 2 to 3 year break and just, do what I want to do. But I do feel like there is a crunch here, and I feel like I feel open and I'm okay to talk to you today about it. But I wish I could stay with you on the phone forever, because when I get off the phone with you, all of a sudden, I hear all these no's. No. And then all of a sudden I feel ganged up on, and I feel bullied, and I feel left out and alone. And I'm tired of feeling alone. I deserve to have the same rights as anybody does by having a child, a family, any of those things, and more so. And that's all I wanted to say to you. And thank you so much for letting me speak to you today.
Thank you for listening to Window Dressing, Sirens and Gossip Rag Goddesses of the New Millennium. Please like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening, and follow me on Instagram at Window Dressing Podcast for more content. I'm Madeline Jane Auble.